Good morning, Bardstown and Nelson County, and it helps if I push the right buttons. Welcome to Bradford and Brooks. A little technically challenged this morning, but we're on the air, and glad to be here. Margie Bradford and Jim Brooks with you until the top of the next hour. And, well, Margie, Election Day is drawing closer.
It certainly is.
And I finally got a chance to read that little bitty sign in your front yard on who you support for governor.
Well, all of us citizens are entitled to express our opinion.
That's right. That's right. Raymond, I thought she was going to need that tractor trailer to put her sign on it for her front yard. It was it's big. I've seen a couple of them.
It makes a statement.
Well, it does. It does, and you have that right.
Exactly.
All right, and that'll be. The election's coming up sooner than we think.
Yep.
But we'll talk about the election and the deadlines and early voting and all those other things in just a moment.
All right.
First, we have some comments from Judge Executive Tim Hutchins. Tim attended the Tourist Commission meeting yesterday, and Ross Stratton of WBRT caught up with Tim after that meeting and got some comments from Tim on the meeting and basically his thoughts. So let me cue that up. Judge Executive Tim Hutchins.
You attended their meeting today. What, as Judge Executive, what did you feel like when you came out of that meeting?
Well, I attended the meeting because, first of all, Ross, when I found out about the director's position being eliminated and/or she was fired, I guess it's been about a week ago, it seemed to be that everybody knew about it but the county judge, which is me. And I didn't take it too kindly when I am on the NCTA board, which oversees the direction of the Tourist Commission as a part of that. So I went to the Tourism Committee meeting today. They have been sending me the minutes and the agenda for the last 3 or 4 months. I decided to go today, and I didn't get involved in any discussion, but they did go in executive session for 30 minutes, and I think you've got a report on that maybe. So, to be quite honest about it, the bourbon industry, and what I was told by several, and there's several on that committee, is the bourbon industry seems to be taking credit for all the tourism we got going on in the county, and our local tourism board is not getting credit for it from them apparently. And like I told some people in the last meeting before, was since Miss Brady has been the executive director, our tourism numbers are really skyrocketed in the last 3 years, and the evidence is, the proof is there. So maybe, I don't know what it is. Maybe they don't need the $560,000 that's coming through the fiscal court for the motel industry going directly to them. If the bourbon industry is wanting to take credit for everything, maybe they can just fund that whole department. Because I do know for a fact they do a lot for the bourbon industry, and I don't have no problem with that. I'm not attacking that. They should be doing some. There's a hell of a lot more in this county going on than just that. And my biggest thing is, I guess with you today, and you asked me a question, is I'm the county judge. I got elected in January, and I should be knowing what's going on down there, especially when I'm on the board and it goes under our umbrella. And be point blank about it, I'm not happy.
All right, you're back with Bradford and Brooks, Jim and Margie, and that was Judge Executive Tim Hutchins speaking. He attended yesterday's Tourism Commission meeting and just sharing his thoughts about recent events involving the Tourist Commission. All right, and before we have a very special guest with us today, Nelson County Sheriff Ramon Pineiroa, and before we get Raymond up to bat here, Margie's got, there's some important dates regarding the election we just referred to several minutes ago. And Margie's going to go over those dates. You may have already received a red, white, and blue postcard in the mail that Margie has in her hands. And if you haven't, then there are some important dates and times to remember regarding opportunities to vote at the clerk's office if you're going to be out of town on election day, early voting days, and then election day itself.
Right.
So Margie, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Well, for mail-in absentee voting, that was from September 23rd through October the 24th, yesterday. So it's too late to request an mail-in absentee vote. You're not, but you can do in-person absentee voting with an excuse required to be able to vote that early from now up until November the 1st. So you can still, if you're not able to be here on election day, and you have one of the excuses required for that, then you can go ahead and come in and vote on those days at the at the Sutherland Building. And you can also do in-person early voting with no excuse required, and that's Thursday, November the 2nd, Friday, November the 3rd, and Saturday, November the 4th, from 8 to 4 p.m. And that's Nelson County Library. I mean, now don't think of using the election day times, which is 6 to 6. But the in-person early voting is 8 to 4, which is, at the Nelson County Library.
Right.
And then, of course, in-person voting on Tuesday, November the 7th from 6 to 6 a.m. And, either in your precinct or no matter what precinct you're in, you can vote at the Nelson County Library.
Yeah, that having a voting center like for the library, that just makes voting so much more convenient, especially if, for example, I'm here in town, got other business to take care of, and I don't have to run all the way back out to Cox's Creek.
Absolutely.
To vote at my local precinct.
And since I live very near the library, I know how popular it was on election day. I had a hard time getting out of my driveway. And they park. I mean, they filled the parking lot up and overflowed the parking lot. But that just shows how convenient it is for people to do. So there's really not many excuses you can use for not voting nowadays because the opportunity is there for us to vote all the way up until election day.
Right. Well, we don't have time to, talk about, to prognosticate what we think the turnout will be, because this being a state election, there's no local races, so
right.
So, it tends to be less popular to draw fewer voters.
Well,
but maybe not.
They're the people who are going to lead the state. So it's very important. It's a very important election. Of course, all elections are important, but this is especially so for the citizens of Kentucky because this determines who is going to run your state for the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. All right. Well, Margie and I will be talking more about politics and voting before Election Day.
Right. And after.
And after. And hopefully both of us will have a chance to vote, do the early voting.
Yes.
Yes,
I plan on that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. Our special guest today is Nelson County Sheriff Ramon Pineiroa. And good morning, Ramon.
Good morning.
Pardon me. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. If I may add, I'm on the Board of Elections.
That's right, you are.
And I'm proud to have Jeanette Sidebottom and her staff, her deputies, Kathy, Audrey, and Beth, on the election side. They do a fabulous job, and we have a very proactive clerk that wants to put out information to the citizens.
Yes.
Just by mailing those mailers and
Yeah.
putting out the information. So kudos to Jeanette and her staff for all the proactive information, not only as the clerk, but for the voting side. So it's a proud moment for Nelson County to have her in that office.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you are
can't-
absolutely right there.
Yeah, we can't sing their praises enough. They make it look easy. Elections go without a hitch, generally, and to us. But behind the scenes, they make sure things get done.
There's a lot of knowledge in that office.
Absolutely.
Just sitting on election days and watching the process and the activities that go on behind the scenes. Because we sit there, we have to be at the clerk's office
Sure.
for the 12 hours. And sometimes it's
Right.
longer because you have to be there before and after.
Right.
It's tremendous to have a solid staff like she does, and it's kudos to her and her staff.
Absolutely.
Right. And about the election board and the way things operate to ensure the safety of
The integrity of the election.
integrity. I know that process because I served on the election board for several years. But I mean, it's just that every avenue for affecting the election is closely monitored, and with people of both parties there too.
Correct. For the citizen that doesn't know, there's a Republican, there's a Democrat, the sheriff, and the county clerk, and at times there could be a I call it a watcher, basically to watch the election, and an observer to watch what we're doing and how we're doing it, and report to their party if needs to be an objection on how Nelson County is doing things. I'm proud to report that we do above and beyond the duties, and like again, I can't praise her enough on the job that she does, but she does a fabulous job.
We appreciate. I know your participation is probably mandated by state law.
It is.
But I appreciate your dedication and your service.
And well, I thank you.
Especially elections, to keep our elections safe and secure.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, Raymond, your office stays busy. I know, just judging by the jail logs. But there's a lot that goes into keeping Nelson County, of keeping the roads open, to keep things safe, and I know that when your guys get a call of just, it can be a generic domestic disturbance or something, they don't really know what they're walking into, and to me, it takes quite a man to be willing to put himself in that situation and have to make those split-second decisions, on what is this situation, what's going on, and to keep themselves safe and whoever is at the scene also safe. Anyway, kudos to all your guys for the work they do. It's, I don't know, there's the training system where, you use lethal force or not. And in most cases, I was the one who died, in those training scenarios. I was always assuming, well, that's not the bad guy. Well, it was. But anyway, that training is what keeps your guys sharp, keeps them up to date, and it's part of policing.
So when you get the call, it's going into the unknown, and as you drive, whether 5 minutes, a minute to 30 minutes to that call, your mind starts to start thinking of what the process, what are you going to encounter, and it all depends on the dispatchers getting the information from the caller. Right. It's crucial to get as much information as we can get, and it's a decision maker. At times we're criticized for making the decision in seconds, but yet nobody else wants to do the job. And so with that being said, we put ourselves out there. And for the most part, we're blessed. We have a lot of young deputies, but I'll take them any day, anytime. And we work our butts off. Like you said, you see it yourself, and this is more than once that you've said that to me. And as the boss, as the sheriff, it makes me proud that the guys are not just sitting around and they are out proactively policing.
Sure, yeah. And that, well, I think that helps keep, the community safe. And now, you had mentioned in fiscal court a couple of meetings ago about the work that you all have kind of partnered with the DEA.
Correct.
And you all have had already having success with that partnership. Is that right?
That's correct. I came to the judge and the magistrates about adding a position. We had already been working. And it's nicer when you have a temporary field officer along those federal agencies where you can know the ropes and know how to indict somebody federally. So we moved that. It's been about 5-6 months now, and in the first 4 months, they've kicked butt. They work together with the Greater Hardin County Task Force, our 2 detectives, and we've seen a lot of success in 4 cases, collecting over $500,000 in cash and properties.
Wow.
Now, what happens to that cash and property?
So it goes into evidence until the case is adjudicated. And then it gets awarded to the agencies. And the DEA, the feds, do a percentage of those funds back to the agencies involved. So out of $500,000, we'll probably get a good chunk of that and utilize it for tools to benefit the sheriff's office.
Okay.
How many? How many officers are on the road patrol duty?
I have 18 road deputies. We have coverage 24/7.
Right.
I've put more deputies on the road than ever before per shift, and it's not because I did it. I put it. The schedule, I combined the schedule to benefit the deputies in itself, because 3 deputies on the road, it's not enough.
Well, as big as the county is.
You said 18?
18 road deputies.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
that's spread across 3 shifts.
Correct. And we usually have 2 shifts, day shift, night shift. Our
Like
day
12-hour
shift,
shifts?
10-hour shifts.
10-hour shifts.
Our days start at 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., and then our night shift starts at 1600 and 2000. And we normally put the 5 deputies on 90% of the time of the 24-hour day. So it's beneficial not only for our guys but for the citizens.
Sure.
Because they're getting more patrol, more coverage for the same amount of money. But the county's growing. Just in the 5 years that I've been in office, and I've not been out in patrol or out on the road. I went out of Cox's Creek, and Corman's Crossing is huge. I mean, it's expanded that it's almost to the Deatsville area,
right,
on the backside. So areas that used to be a playground, it's houses there now. So
lots more opportunities for your needing services.
More needing of patrol, more investigations. Investigations are getting turned over to detectives, where they are actually looking at cases, not just a report and we were done with it.
Right.
Now they're actually looking into it. So it's been beneficial how we've structured the sheriff's office.
How many detectives do you have working now?
So I have 5 detectives.
Wow.
I have 2 in general, crimes and property, and then I have 2 on the Greater Hardin County Task Force for drugs, and then 1 on the DEA Task Force.
Okay.
So
Wow.
we're hoping to expand. We'll see how that goes. I'm working on my budget for this year if I can, but I don't want to get too tight where the sheriff is kind of penny pinching to get things done.
Right.
Might have to work with fiscal court. They've been great. Day one, they gave us a $2 raise, and we haven't lost anybody. So, the money talks and the rest walks, and nobody's walked since then. So
Good. That it's hard to replace that once you get a certain level of experience. You really, it's a new officer, great out of the academy is great, but you don't have that experience.
that and Jim, there's
You can't buy that.
the benefits are not there anymore. The retirement's not there, so they're working on a 401k. And today's generation is chasing the dollar. I've said that in open court.
Right.
And when you can go make 25 cents, 50 cents to $1 more somewhere else, they go. The process of getting applications to be law enforcement, it's not like it used to be when I started. Back then you had 15 to 20 applicants to choose from. Now it's a handful or less. And until the retirement is changed, where you're going to have a retirement, that's going to be the factor where we see the change of the retention or the incentive to bring new folks into law enforcement.
What year did they change that?
I'd say about 6 years ago, maybe,
Yeah.
if not more, maybe 7.
I know there was a lot of controversy about that.
It is, and we're doing the
Because it
same
was that way
job.
for, I think, teachers.
And
yeah.
eventually, I look at the terminology of the retirement as the pond. The pond eventually is going to dry out because you're drawing the water being the cash that's in that account. And that pond's going to go dry from everybody retiring and no money being there. It can be vested in and try to get interest on it, but it ain't going to draw as much as. So you have to put water in that pond and be sustained in the retirement system.
Well, Raymond, I know that I believe you've referred to the fact that according to Nelson County's population, we should have an X number of law enforcement officers on duty. Where do we stand now as far as having sufficient numbers on the road, do you think?
So it's 2.5 per 1,000. So you're looking at almost 50,000. It's a lot of manpower. Now, do you count the city of Bardstown's officers to the whole county? Really, it's not fair because they cover 11 square miles.
Right.
We cover 424. So do we take that out? And I wouldn't know. I guess you could, but where to start on it, because we still cover the city of Bardstown. I'm not saying that we are the primary. The city of Bardstown, BPD is the primary call takers and whatnot. But there's still this. I tell people this all the time. Bardstown's still in Nelson County. We could use more. But I'm pleased how we're managing and keeping the office afloat and things. We could use 1 or 2 more bodies for detective work, the property crimes, the drugs, and that was one of my focuses is battling the drug epidemic, because if we tackled that down, the property crime should go down with that.
Sure.
So it's a work in progress. But at the end of the day, we have to work together to accomplish safety of the citizens and get the job done.
Now, does the sheriff's office have a working canine?
We have 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
We have 3 dogs, 2 on day shift and 1 on nights. They're pretty active. They are community tools for the kids, the schools, the public, and we also utilize them for the drugs. A lot of people say, why you have 2 dogs on days? A lot of drugs are moved during the day. So we try to battle the drug epidemic with tools like the canines.
You said the ideal proportion would be 2.5 officers per 1,000 population. So how far off are we from that?
Well, I think that we would need somewhere in the 50s, 60s, but I would say that we would have to count Barstown's count into that, and we're close. But again, we cover most of the population out in the county. But working the schedule through where we added 1 extra deputy per shift. On the 6th, 7th day, we added 2. So that's a huge volume for our deputies to have an extra body or 2 on shift. So it's a work in progress. We have to think outside the box to make things happen and try it. Don't be scared of trying things, because if you don't try, you'll never find out
whether it works or not.
Works or not.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. The county, and I know that some other communities in the county have invested in, what's known as flock cameras, but those are the kind of unusual looking poles next to the highway with a solar panel atop. And basically they capture license plates passing by. Is that right? That's
correct.
And they're networked so that if there's a hit of a reported stolen vehicle or other wanted individual in a certain vehicle, that law enforcement gets an alert. Is that right?
That's correct. So a little bit over a year ago, I went through the council meetings at New Haven, Bloomfield, Fairfield, and was advocating for these tools. I can report that them things have paid for themselves for the citizens. Whether a citizen who does not live in Nelson County, but was a victim of a stolen vehicle in Jefferson County, and vice versa.
You'll have all of those too?
I have access to anybody that's got a flock camera from Florida to New York to Connecticut to California. The biggest thing is using it a tool for what it is. I have it where stolen cars, wanted people, sometimes they're wanted, but their state will not extradite. So we get the hit, and we kind of just get familiar with the vehicle that is locating. It's not a tool to track you down. That's not what it's for.
And it's not really designed to be an invasion of privacy.
No, because if you're on the road, you're on a public road. There's no expectation of privacy on a public road. If you're on private property, yes. But on a public road, it's for game. It's just like the police running your license plate. So it's a tool. I believe that crime has gone down in the city of New Haven. Crime has gone down in the city of Bloomfield. I have not locked down Fairfield, but I believe that having those 2 cameras in Fairfield has helped the drug activity and whatnot over in that area. I wish that we could get 3, 4 more, because there's areas that they know we have them, and they're trying to avoid them by coming in a different direction.
Sure.
And I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, I advocated for them, and I'm proud of the success that those tools have paid off for the sheriff's office.
So how many do you estimate, how many of those that are in Nelson County?
I think we have 15, and the Bardstown Police has 4. So it helps out to solve crime, even if it didn't happen at your house. I don't know if you recall, years ago in Bloomfield, Medica was broken into, and a bunch of pills were taken. We knew what car it was, but we could not track it because we couldn't get a clear picture of the license plate.
Right.
If we had this, we would have solved that.
Yeah.
And there was thousands of pills taken that we could have addressed. The unsolved cases, the Jason Ellis, the Crystal Rogers, Tommy's, and the Netherlands, these would have been crucial back then if we had this.
If you'd had that, you would have captured that.
It would have.
Yes.
Because remember, the Netherlands. What was the key thing that was put out?
Looking for a black
Impala.
But they couldn't read the license plate.
Didn't have nothing, so I can go into the flock system and search for a black Impala, and then it will give me narrow down to that vehicle, and we can start addressing those issues on that black Impala. So it's a pretty neat tool. It's panned out. It's paid off. I promise you. The first month, we had over 10 stolen cars coming to Nelson County, all recovered, and success stories. Recently, I think a month ago, we had a stolen pickup truck. My chief deputy responded to it, and they ended up in a small pursuit. And ended up right there by Mago at the old Bloomfield Pike and Bloomfield Road. He put the truck in a ditch, and no incident. He was arrested, taken into jail. We will address issues that come in Nelson County, and we're utilizing tools that have not been here before.
It seemed to me, I remember when we had you on as a guest before, and we were talking about this subject, that there was like an organized gang who were coming into Nelson County to steal cars at that time.
We did.
And they had a
bunch of juveniles and a few adults were coming into Nelson County to steal cars. They ended up coming into 150 Quick Stop, and they were utilizing the victims' credit cards and stuff, and this credit card didn't work, and then they were, until something paid the bill. So our detectives did a great job. Bardstown was involved. Mount Washington was involved, because we were all victims. Our citizens were victims, so we worked cases for them. And I believe 4 to 5 individuals were identified and charged in that. And we've seen the slowdown of criminal activity coming into our county.
So,
and
because
I believe
they
know,
they know
that
about
this is out here. One of the questions was, how do you all get to us so fast? And we just grin at them, we know it all. And we don't.
We're watching you.
We're watching, and it's, we get the alert that a vehicle's stolen, it's coming. It puts the resources that we have on that criminal activity coming into our county.
Because you can identify.
Correct. We get a picture. We get an email. We get a text message, and after 30 days, that information is erased. Automatically, so there's no going back and looking at. We have a policy and procedure for this system. We have audits. So, I mean, is it bulletproof? No, but we've done our due diligence to go above and beyond to address the issues that citizens.
Well, I mean,
people had.
you're doing that for, I'm assuming you're doing that for privacy.
Correct.
To a certain extent.
And for utilize it for what it's for, not for personal.
Right.
Look at your wife, look at your girlfriend, or whatever the case may be.
Well, there's no need to archive.
Correct,
that information for
and
long
that was a big proponent on the flock system when it came out. How long can you archive this? So with us, it's 30 days and it's gone. And that's, we want it for that. We don't want it for historically what you did before or this or that. I want to know what's happening now. Help us investigate things and whatnot. You know, we had a friend of mine who had several guns stolen, and we kept tracking vehicles, and we ended up doing a couple search warrants. Drugs were found in locations, but at the end of the day, we didn't find those weapons. But we used the tools that we had on the investigation, and that's what it's for, used for an investigation.
What would have been the most, of course, I think it changes by season, the type of criminal activity that happens. I mean, during the summer, you have a lot of crimes of opportunity, you know, a lot of smash and grabs from vehicles, you know, and my defense for that is my vehicle is so messy, you can't see anything of value except McDonald's bags.
They don't care. They'll rummage through it and see what you have in there.
Find your receipt.
Sometimes what they don't care. Even if it's just change that they can get, they'll take it. But at the end of the day, I moved here in '95, almost 30 years ago, and back then you could leave your keys in the ignition, windows roll down, and nothing would happen.
Right.
In today's day and era, if you do that, expect your car to go through and possibly be taken.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would say in today's new generation of vehicles, don't leave your key fob in the car, because if it's a push start button, that key fob connects to the push start.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is come in the car, press the brake, and try that push button. If you have your keys in it, they're going to take your car.
Right.
If not, they're just going to rummage through it.
Even if they're under the floor mat.
Correct. So the biggest thing is, don't leave your keys in it. Lock your stuff.
Right.
Don't leave no guns and valuables that you don't want taken.
Well, I had my car, I had a 71 Volkswagen, believe it or not, back in 78. And this was in the era when you could, I lived on Center Street, and everybody left their keys in their car, and I was parked out on the street, and I had to have no idea why. But some folks, early in the morning, some folks came by and were apparently checking out my car and said, "Hey, the keys are in it," and took it. And I'm like, now, who would steal an old Volkswagen? I don't know, but
Joyriders.
Well, they went joyriding up a logging road in Boston, and then they to add insult to injury, they took these good sized rocks and broke every piece of glass in it. So it was like, I got my car back. It didn't have wheels and tires, but it had a lot more.
It had a
dents.
fresh new air conditioner in it.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a lesson I learned a long time ago. And what was interesting was that on Center Street, it's wide enough where you can park on one side. After my car got stolen, nobody parked on the street anymore. And I'm sure nobody left their keys in their car either, because I sure as heck didn't. But anyway.
You served as an example to the community.
Me and my poor Volkswagen. Anyway, I think what drew attention, I was trying to sell it. So I had a for sale sign in it, so I guess they wanted to see, well...
You were leaving the keys in so anybody could go test drive and bring it back.
I guess, that's... I know, it's stupid when you think about it, but anyway, that was the era.
Yeah.
Well, you probably got by with it
Oh, yeah.
many times before
Me
that.
and my neighbors too, everybody did.
Yeah.
Do you see any new trends or anything in crime? I mean, I know it varies by season, but what are we seeing a lot of, or anything new trends in law enforcement, or what you all are seeing? I mean, it seems like the jail logs are full of people getting caught with meth. That seems to be.
Meth is starting to really kick back up. Of course, the fentanyl. Here's some stats that we got: 3 kilos of cocaine on one case.
Wow.
Cocaine, 800 grams. Let's see, that was on another case. This one of the biggest cases that DEA guys worked, 355 grams of fentanyl mixed with psilocybin. Psilocybin is a tranquilizer that vets use, and it's not a friendly for human beings.
Right.
And then the fourth case, 12 pounds of crystal meth.
Wow.
So that's a lot of meth off the streets. The biggest two is the fentanyl and the psilocybin. Just a small dose of fentanyl will kill you. You can tell when overdoses are happening. There's a new batch of drugs, and we'll have anywhere between 3 to 7 to 10 overdoses. And most likely it's coming from the same dealer because it's all repeated.
And I guess the strength of whatever drug is being sold varies, and so a user won't know may think he's getting this, and he's getting much.
So these folks are buying pills, and most likely they're pill
They
press.
think they're
The real thing, and most of the time they're pill press with fentanyl in it. And like you said, you think you're getting this, but they think they're chemists, and they're doing their own thing, and they might have more dosage on this pill than this pill.
Yeah.
So I think that is the benefactor. I've addressed some issues with Representative Kenny Mazzaroni, and hopefully we'll pass some laws, because there is none on press pill or pressers. You can buy one online and start producing, and a lot of the times they use YouTube videos to learn how to do stuff.
Right.
And it's a bad juju for addicts to use something, and they're buying something from somebody that doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
A lot of it is they're bringing pills from the south, Texas, Arizona, over this way, and they already have those chemicals in those pills. One of the task forces has a True Narc, which is a machine that you can have the drugs here in a sealed bag, and they'll bring it over and scan it, and it'll tell you what it is and what it has.
Wow.
So hopefully, we'll get our hands on one of those, so the sheriff's office has it, and the area can use it. To answer your question, drugs is probably the benefactor of all crimes. But I would say that burglaries come and go, but the most is vehicle thefts, vehicle break-ins, and they're trying to get their next fix to get their drugs, and they commit the petty crimes, stealing something or returning something to a shop with no tag, and doing those type of things. But it's a revolving door. Sometimes you hit and miss. You could be on to something, and then it's not there anymore. It'll be the next big thing on the crime.
Can you do you have an estimate of how many people die of the overdoses in Nelson County
Oh,
in a year or a week or?
No, I think that would be a question for the coroner.
Yeah.
But I want to say the numbers are pretty high. I want to say that she had about 80 something to 100
Deaths. We're talking deaths.
Deaths
In a year.
And then, yes, and just the time that she's been in office. And we're on the 10th month, so almost 11 months.
You're
Yes,
saying who's
right.
she?
The Neoclatic, the coroner.
Okay, all right then.
And then
So
out of
150?
those, I think she reported, don't quote me on it, 120.
120.
But out of those, I would say probably 20 or more are overdoses. Mm-hmm. So,
Okay, you're not saying 120 deaths due to
No,
overdoses.
no.
You're saying probably 20.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hate to break up the conversation, but I realize we've got some commercials to get in before the top of the
All
hour.
right.
Sounds
You're
good.
listening to Bradford and Brooks and our special guest, Sheriff Ramon Pineiroa. We will be back after these messages. Please stay tuned. All right, you're back with Bradford and Brooks. We're just about done with the top of the hour. And Raymond, you made a good point about being a victim.
Yeah, please don't be a victim by choice. Lock your vehicles, your homes. Make sure that the valuables are secure, and don't leave your keys in your vehicles. Especially, please do not leave your guns. A lot of them don't have serial numbers because it's their daily handgun or whatever. Take a picture of it. At least you'll have it on your phone.
Right.
So when a reporting is needed, we have that information.
Right. We had a gentleman call in. I got a note here that wanted to know what was going on with the Nelson County School. It's kind of complicated to explain in 2.5 minutes, but the protests at the various schools in the last few days have been related to the board's decision to go in a direction that would merge Thomas Nelson and Nelson County High School, and that's what's caused a tremendous amount of dissent in the schools. I think among teachers and probably in students as well.
The students had walked out.
The students had periodically walked out, and I'm not sure what the status is today. But I know there have been several days when they just called off classes last week. But that's what's going on.
It's cost enough that a board member has resigned.
Right.
Damon Jackie resigned after the last board meeting, and they accepted his resignation last night. So
that's right.
In protest.
Right.
Yeah. Damon Jackie resigned last week, and last night they accepted his resignation in a special meeting, and also charted the path forward to basically talk about the process of replacing him. And the board will select a replacement from applicants who seek and have all the qualifications. You have to live in the District 5 and other qualifications, and if you meet those, you can apply to be a board member. The board will make that decision, and then it's a tough job, and I think all the board members who have been on and have served will tell you that, right, Margie?
Right.
It's not. It can be a really tough job. All right. Well, that's going to do it. Anything else to add, Raymond, before we go?
No, thank you all for having me and allowing me to let you know what our sheriff's office is doing and the opportunity to speak on a very good topic of what we're doing against the drugs.
Well, we in the media love to know that how proactive and active our police department is. So appreciate the work you guys do.
Appreciate it.
All right, that's going to do it for Bradford and Brooks. Margie and I are out of here. We will see you next Wednesday for another. We'll be talking homelessness next week, right, Margie?
Yes, we will.
And we'll be back next Wednesday for another Bradford and Brooks. Have a great week.